Hello everyone, it's Davide here and welcome back to Learning Finance. In today's video guys, I want to do something unusual, which is talking about GameStop and mainly talking about Wall Street bets. Now, I know that right now everyone on the internet is crazy about that, but you know that I usually don't do this kind of hype content videos. But in this case, I want to talk about it because, in my opinion, this event will remain in the stock market history as a moment when basically normal people from an organization online, a group on Reddit, has been able to take over Wall Street's hedge funds. This is historical, guys. It's something very huge. So in this video, I want to explain what I mean by that, by giving some background on how this thing is possible. And the only thing I ask you guys is please leave me another like. It's very important and I thank you for it, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new updates. Let's begin. Now, GameStop, ticker symbol GME. Obviously, I don't want to do an analysis on the stock. It doesn't make sense to me. But unless you're living under a rock, you have realized that in the last 10 days, this thing went crazy. We went from around 360 to right now in the aftermarket is, how much it is, 246 in basically 7 days. Now, GameStop, which is a company that they have seen a decrease in revenues, the technology with consoles obviously went on, and on Wall Street obviously there is a group of short sellers which they make money by busting companies, okay, which are in trouble. And they don't care. They just, if you don't know what short selling is, very simple. Is basically that, let's say you are an institution, you are an hedge fund and you want to short a company. What it means is that you borrow the shares of that particular company, you sell those shares which are not yours. So you sell something which is not yours, the price will go down so that after a certain time you are able to buy back the shares at a lower price, give them back to who gave you those shares in a loan with a little bit of interests as well, and the rest, the difference, is your gain. Now, this is a very common practice that especially hedge funds have been doing it for over, I think, 50 years from now, probably even more. Now, obviously, a lot of those funds are greedy. And what it means is that, for example, in the case of GameStop, the shares which were in short, the amount of shares were even more than 100%, meaning that more than the entire shares of the company were sold short. How is that possible? Well, that's pretty simple. Those guys in Wall Street, they were actually using derivatives. So they were not only shorting the shares by basically borrowing the shares and selling in the market, but they were also using derivatives to actually increase the position to up until I read around 130%. And obviously, historically, GameStop went down, as I showed you in the graph before. They went down until around 340, 360 per share. Until what happened is basically that this page, probably you already know this page right now, it is a Reddit based page, which is WallStreetBets. At the moment, they have 2.8 million people subscribed to this page. And the thing is, when you look at mass media today, the only thing that they are saying is that those guys are crazy, those guys are fool, those guys are stupid. But the reality of the fact in this case is completely different. First of all, I'm not saying that WallStreetBets is not something speculative. We have seen during the history they became famous because a lot of members made very risky bets, and some of them lost a huge amount of money. Typically going on with margins and pure high leverage. And there is a percentage of those people which, in my opinion, they just gamble completely 100% in the market. And that basically go on, put everything you have. If it goes well, you are going to become a millionaire. That's the idea, and that's how they became famous. But this time, guys, what they have done is completely different. The short squeeze that they have done on GameStop is probably one of the best short squeezes that you have seen in the stock market. over the last decade, I think, but even probably 10, 20 years. And the fact that this thing has been made by normal people is something historical. Now, even though obviously online everyone now is talking about the extreme gains that those people they made, because who entered the trade in a very early stage, they are now millionaires, okay, without any doubts. But I don't want to talk about that. I am not obviously a member of WallStreetBets. I have nothing to do with them. But I think that there is one thing here that has made the history, in my opinion, is an historical event. And let me explain briefly what it is. Now, over the last few years, basically, they gave us the access to very complicated financial instruments, probably the most complicated of them all, which are options. Very difficult stuff that even a lot of professionals, they don't understand how those things really works. And they give those things to the general public, to basically the average Joe, without any financial education at all. In applications like, for example, Robinhood, which are very easy to use, user-friendly, 10 years old kid can place an option order in the stock market by using those things without any fees. So everything easy. They are designed to actually make you addicted to invest in the stock market. And there are a lot of people that they think that the stock market is like Las Vegas. And what they didn't consider, because when they have done those things, also the regulators and stuff, they clearly didn't care about the normal people, about the average Joe will put a little bit of money in those kind of apps and lose those money, okay? Because a lot of people, they lost a lot of money by using these very simple, fancy apps. Give you access to leverage and very complicated instruments. They didn't care about those things. What they haven't considered, though, which in my opinion is what makes this particular event historical, is what is gonna happen if a lot of people, so hundreds of thousands of people all together, they enter the same trade. What they didn't consider is that with the internet, with the huge amount of people that internet is able to put together, what is gonna happen if one of them has a brilliant idea? And by the way, we have to give credit when credit is due. The first guy that came out with this idea of GameStop actually was right, in my opinion, when the price was that low. The stock didn't deserve to be that low, even though obviously it is a wasted business. But Wall Street were being too much greedy about that situation, okay? So, and the trade has been also supported by personalities like, for example, Michael Burry. So you understand that the thing at the beginning, it was a very great idea. And the thing is, what happens when you put a lot of people all together in the same direction, in a very well coordinated move, also supported by some huge investors? What happens is brilliant. You have a lot of average Joes that instead of just losing money altogether by doing random stuff, they put their energies together and they are able to move huge capitals. They can wipe out an entire hedge fund in Wall Street. That's pretty simple. Just look at that. That's the power of internet. Internet works on volumes, and when all those people are headed directly to the same direction, that can be very powerful. Look at that. Number of people, let's suppose 800,000 people. That's just a pure example. We see that the group over there has 2.8 million people, plus a lot of fans that probably they just entered the trade and they are not included in Wall Street's bets. We don't know that, but let's suppose 800,000, and let's suppose an average invested per people of $2,500. Probably they put just $500, but a lot of those contracts are options, which obviously you are in leverage, okay? So you move more money. Then just with these simple numbers, what you are moving is $2 billion. $2 billion. Imagine the average Joes all together moving $2 billion. Retail investors. Now, considering that the market is inelastic, okay, there are a lot of studies in this field. Usually, when especially momentum stock and when things are going on hype, you have that $1 moves $5 in the stock market valuation of the company. Now, by doing that, simply with the simple assumption you have that the average Joes, retail investors, okay, not fancy people from Wall Street, which they went to Harvard because everyone was rich and blah blah blah. You have normal people, retail investors, that they are able to move $10+ billion in the valuation of a company. If that is also supported by investment funds, hedge funds, guess what is gonna happen? You have that retail traders and average people, they are able to take over Wall Street's hedge funds. That's incredible, guys. Honestly, what has happened, in my opinion, is normal people showing Wall Street's, showing institutions that the reality of the fact is that in this case, guys, normal people, they have demonstrated that nowadays with the technology that we have, with the instant access that we have and the instruments that they gave us, also normal people can be dangerous and can do what usually hedge funds are doing, okay, battling against each other. Now, this is historical for the simple reason that if you think back in the history, how many times has happened that a group of retail traders, they have been able to do a coordinated move and to beat, financially speaking, hedge funds in Wall Street? Has never happened before. I don't know how this is gonna finish, but the reality of the facts is that despite how this thing is gonna finish, the event itself, in my opinion, it is something historical, something that will probably change the mind of regulators. Very interesting stuff going on, and honestly, even though I have nothing to do with it, but it is something that it is entertaining to watch, honestly. And it makes you understand the power that internet gives to people and the power that those instruments which are thought to make average people lose money, in reality, if you use them correctly, we have that nowadays even normal people, retail trader, can be very dangerous for Wall Street. Okay, so that's incredible. That's why I wanted to talk about it. Despite the huge gains and stuff and hype, this itself, as it has been made, it is, in my opinion, an historical trade that will remain in the history. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me a like, leave me a comment down below, tell me what's your opinion on that one, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.